There was a girl sitting alone on a park bench in a residential area. Her long brown hair is softly curled around her chest, and her long eyelashes curl upwards, making her large eyes stand out even more. The girl sat on a bench with her school bag on her back, checking out the students passing by in front of the park. Letting out an exasperated sigh and shaking her head.
Maybe he's already gone home? That can't be. It seems like he's always staying behind. He came out right after homeroom ended, so I must have been there before him.
Telling herself like that, the girl sat on the bench and simply waited. After a while, a small boy appeared on the school path in front of the park. He was walking along with his head down, then suddenly he looked up at the sky, stopped, and stared blankly at one spot. He was a pale, small boy with long, silky hair that reached down to his shoulders and a height of less than 4.3 feet. Upon seeing him, the girl stood up from the bench and ran over to the boy. "Chris," the girl called out. Then, the boy flinched, and he slowly turned towards the source of the voice.
Sana.
Standing before Chris was Sana Mitsuki. From the next class, class 6-1. Chris and Sana have been friends since kindergarten.
Isn't it a little late? I thought the sun was setting.
Chris was confused when his childhood friend suddenly appeared in front of him and scolded him. No matter how hard he tries to recall, he don't remember meeting up at the park. Even so, he apologized for the time being, saying, "I'm sorry." Sana shook her head in amazement at the timid eyes of the small boy, who was about the same height as her, and said, "It's fine. Just come over here," before walking back to the bench on her own. As Chris sat down next to her, Sana removed her school bag from her shoulders and placed it on the side of the bench. She crossed her legs in her long maroon skirt and turned to Chris. "Since when has he become such a coward?" "Chris Uemura, is Chris a foreigner? Are you half Japanese?" He has pale skin and unfamiliar name in Japan, so people who met him for the first time would always ask him like that. But when they found out he wasn't a foreigner or half Japanese, they all jumped on him and called him weird. Some people call him a gay because of his long hair. Even so, Chris always had a smile on his face and was cheerful and energetic. But when we were in the 5th grade, we were in different classes and he started to avoid walking home with me. He stopped coming over to my house and became depressed. And he was being dragged further and further into loneliness. Looking at Chris's face as he bowed his head, Sana felt both lonely and sad.
School is really boring, isn't it?
Sana said what she was thinking, not as a way to start a conversation after a long time. Chris has no friends, but the same goes for Sana. Although she is short, Sana is pretty, fashionable, and good at studying, so she is popular with both boys and girls. However, she don't have any friends that she could talk to honestly. She just can't get interested in the things that kids of her age are interested in, and she tends to look down on those kids who are crazy about celebrities and idols. Sana is used to say, "I want to get out of this rural area as soon as possible." In that point, it was different when she was with Chris. He listens to what Sana says until the end, and he don't just follow what others say without thinking. Above all, Sana and Chris are similar in that they view the world with a cold-hearted eye. It's just that Sana is more decisive and can deal with things more skillfully. Ignoring Chris, who didn't reply, Sana spoke again.
"I had a strange dream last night. Dream of becoming a foreign woman. And Chris is going to be there too in the form of a foreign man."
Hearing Sana's story, Chris looked up and saw Sana's face. There was a little light back in Chris' eyes. Apparently he was interested in Sana's story. Feeling a little happy, Sana looked into Chris' eyes and nodded back. The reason Sana was lying in wait for Chris today was, of course, because she wanted to share the strange dream she had yesterday. But more than anything, she wanted to talk to Chris again. And then, after having a strange dream yesterday, Sana realized that the feeling had been growing stronger than she thought. Sana continued talking about her dream.